Hi everyone, I'm super excited to host Alex Lovell, is principal at LMP Partners. Thanks a lot for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this. Looking forward to our conversation.
Amazing. Alex, take us back to your college days until this date. What would be your top three career highlights?
Wow, great question. So I'm originally from Southern California, so I've got the surf poster behind me. That's Greg Knoll in Hawaii. But I was recruited to play Division 1 water polo at Bucknell University, which is in central Pennsylvania. So pretty odd and drastic change for someone that grew up in Southern California to go to central PA. But had a great time at Bucknell, a great school. Um, and when I was looking at my future career, I was able accepted into the business school at Bucknell my sophomore year. And then I had to focus on a major, and I was really between management or accounting. And I didn't know a lot about the accounting profession, but I ended up going down the accounting route. I joined Deloitte in New York City right during the middle of the financial crisis. So back in 2009. So the world was turned upside down. I was doing a lot of complex audit and valuation related work for some major financial institutions. It was a grind. There was certainly a lot going on coming out of the global financial crisis, but the ability to have a job, in a really tough economic time was fantastic. A lot of people were struggling. I was just very fortunate to have an accounting degree and was good at numbers, and so was able to work for Deloitte for a handful of years. Was a great place to start my career. But I knew I didn't want to be a CPA or an accountant for my entire career, and it's not a knock on CPAs or anything like that. It just wasn't necessarily for me. I started looking into other career opportunities using the experience that I had, from the first couple of years at Deloitte, and was ultimately landed on a finance role and an operations role at a private equity firm in New York. So it was a great first step in the door to really think about investing. Knew I had heard about, private equity, knew a little bit about it, but never had really experienced it. I spent 4 years at that firm, really kind of assisting the deal teams from both a finance and operational standpoint. But, I was really at the closing table of transactions. So the deal had been sourced, the opportunity had come in, I was sitting there kind of working with the team, the management team of the company and really kind of closing the transactions, but not out there in the market, sourcing things. And that was a real key shift for me. I knew I wanted to get on that side of the table, really kind of on the investing side. And to do that, I knew I needed the investment banking experience. So I thought about an overall career shift and actually went back to California and went to the University of Southern California to get my MBA at the Marshall School of Business. I wanted that career shift. I wanted that new kind of mindset and shift into investing. I had a great time at Marshall, and it was recruited by several investment banks to join their associate programs. Ultimately joined Perella Weinberg Partners in their Los Angeles office. Worked at Perella for over 3 years or so. I had a lot of great experience. Worked on some large cap mega M&A transactions, mostly in the industrials sector, and gained a lot of experience. Very much hands on, rolling up your sleeves, doing a lot of the overall diligence, the modeling, a lot of numbers on behalf of our clients, and had a great experience there and learned just a lot of information. So certainly one of the key highlights in my career. And the long term goal was to move into private equity on the investing side. So really thought about that kind of after a few years at Perella, joined LMP in 2021 as a vice president. So I've been with LMP now for over 5 years. I focus on our three core verticals, which are financial services, financial technology, and overall technology, and then business services. Well, we're a sector specialist, so we spend all of our time in those three key areas. I've been around for a couple different areas, but really my long-term goal was to get in the investing side at a private equity firm.
It's indeed like a quite a journey of like various industries. I'm curious to know, like for a accountant listening to this and who want to shortcut their career to private equity investment side, what is like some Pareto things you could share, like few things that can help them gain the most knowledge to reach to what you are doing right now?
Yeah, I think accounting is a fantastic foundation to go into just broader financial services. We look at financial statements almost every day. So having the accounting background is really, really key. The big four, along with a lot of the other mid-size accounting firms, and we're invested in one, have transaction services groups within them. So if you're looking to get into investing, really understanding how a deal comes together, the complexities of it, how transactions evolve during a process. That certainly would be a fantastic and great area to go into. The deals team or the transaction services team within a larger accounting firm, they see a lot of the numbers that go into a transaction, and it's something, when we look at to invest in or to sell a business, financial due diligence and tax due diligence are some of the most critical areas that we focus a lot of our time on during the diligence phase.
What are some things in your career you learned the hard way?
Oh, I would probably say back to recruiting. Really, back in when I was an undergrad, back in university, recruiting was really challenging. A lot of the fields in that I wanted to enter simply just didn't have job openings. The global financial crisis hit a lot of different sectors, and it was certainly a challenging time. I think really leaning down into networking and to the resources that you have, whether you're in college or individuals that you met across your journey. LinkedIn is a fantastic resource to go out and to research and to think about a network. I from university or from other areas, or maybe down even into high school, can be great resources. So I think one of the biggest things for me, was really networking hard, being in touch with other individuals that had entered, sectors like accounting or investment banking when I was coming out of grad school. So those are some of the key pieces of areas that I would really focus on. People will be open to having conversations with you, whether that's a coffee chat or getting on the phone for 5 to 10 minutes. And it's just a lot about the reps. You just gotta, continue to just put the time and the work in. Ultimately, you will get an opportunity. You will, and you just need to be prepared for when that opportunity does come, that you're prepared for it and you're ready to go, and you show your best for whether it's an interview or a coffee chat or whatever it might be. So preparation and networking are really key and pivotal.
How does a week in your life at LMP looks like?
That's a great question. One week, everything might be planned out, how your calendar is kind of set. And then the next week, your calendar might be set and something happens, you might get an email or a phone call, and you've just got to be flexible. You got to shift things around, and you've got to, make sure that you're prioritizing the right things. I think some of the biggest areas are just really around communication and flexibility. That's where I really tried to mentor our other associates that kind of work with us in our firm, because we're always going to experience problems. Problems come up, and you just got to be a great, problem solver overall. But generally, I'd say about 30% of my time is focused on sourcing new investment opportunities or doing diligence on new opportunities. So as a deal maybe comes in, we might be working alongside third party advisors, really understanding the business, having calls with the management team, or having outbound calls to potential investment opportunities and reaching out to CEOs or management teams, or getting on the road and going to have a lunch or a dinner or a sit down meeting up in New York or in Center City, Philadelphia, where I'm based. So a lot of my time is kind of spent on the sourcing side. That's how I would define my 30%. 50% or so is really spent on the broader portfolio. So LNP today is invested in 25 portfolio companies, really across 3 funds. I work on 4 of those companies and sit on the board of 3 of them and an observer on the 4th. So we're very much hands-on. Our firm, as a private equity firm, we're a little bit different, I'd say. We're not Park Avenue based. We're headquartered down here in Philadelphia, and we're more hands-on. At the end of the day, we are investors, not operators, though. So we work alongside our portfolio companies and the management teams as, we're first institutional capital in at about 75% or so of the deals that we do. And we really bring a great value creation team. So we're working alongside of our management teams to really drive, value. That's both organically and also through M&A. So a lot of the companies that we're invested in are also acquiring other businesses. And so we work alongside the corporate development directors across the management team to assist them in evaluating other opportunities then as well, and also driving some of the overall value creation initiatives across the portfolio then too. We travel a decent amount for various board meetings. We're still big believers of in-person meetings. So we like to get in a room together, strategize together. It's really about building that rapport and culture with the existing portfolio and then also with potential new opportunities then as well. I'd say lastly, about the last 20% or so of my time is really focused on firm initiatives. And as my career has progressed at LMP, I've taken on more of that then too. Some of the areas that I'm focused on are recruiting and mentoring our associates. So very much involved in guiding them through their career at LMP as they think about it, and then also just overall associate development then as well. About 2 years ago, I stepped into our value creation working group. We've been really building out this team. We have about 30 individuals on it today. These are functional and industry experts that sit alongside the investment team at LMP. They're great resources for our portfolio companies. And, just in the last couple of years, we've added almost, 8 to 10 individuals onto that team. And a lot of the recruiting for it was, was from that working group, that value creation working group. And so I'm very happy about some of the results that we've added just because we've been able to see that within the portfolio. We just have a lot of consistent and constant needs around various value creation levers, operations, IT and technology, cybersecurity, human resources. And we really wanted to build a great bench of individuals that could assist the portfolio companies then as well. And then, one of the last things I'm kind of working on and it's real time is every year we bring together all of our executives to an executive summit. And so I'm responsible for our executive summit this year. So I'm in charge of putting together the agenda, the speakers, the various panels, really to have a fantastic day. It's a 2-day event. It's going to be in Austin, Texas this year. So we'll have about 25 or so of our portfolio companies present for that event. And it's great for them to really speak to their peers and network. Think about best practices, issues, problems, things that have come up over the last couple of years under a private equity hold period. So we're excited for that. It's a lot of work, but I've got a great group of individuals internally supporting me then as well. And then we're going to have a fantastic event at the end of the month then as well.
It sounds such a spectrum of activities and a bit busy schedule.
Yeah, it can be hectic. It can be busy, especially when there's a new opportunity, that you're working on, and then you still have to really answer and help and assist everything else that the portfolio is constantly thinking about and has questions about on a regular basis then too. So the time can certainly fluctuate where you're at maximum capacity, and it can also come down where you have some downtime and things like that too. And it's important to have that work-life balance then as well.
So, for a executive listening to this podcast and who might be considering partnering with LMP, what's a good stage of the company, revenue, or other criterias that would be a good time for them to reach out? What should be some qualifications?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a specialist growth buyout firm. So I mentioned we focus really 100% of our time in financial services, business services, and financial technology. That's what our limited partners, our investors are the reasons why they're allocating capital for us to invest in because they know that we deploy capital into those three sectors as a specialist middle market firm. For us, we're looking at businesses that are profitable and asset light. We're looking to invest in companies that are in large total addressable markets with high growth potential. Generally, they are founder or management owned. We generally take a control position in the portfolio company, but it's all about partnership and culture and alignment. So control could be 51%, where we would have control and the management team would own, the other 49% of the company. We like to invest in companies that are in highly fragmented industries so that we can go out and do additional, M&A. Our portfolio companies, we've invested in over 55 companies, have done almost 250 add-on acquisitions over that span. So some of them are very acquisitive, and we're very accustomed to standing up M&A programs then as well. From a business standpoint, like to invest in companies that are mission critical and companies that are picks and shovels, if you will, mostly in the B2B services or technology, and that have a really sticky value proposition. From a financial standpoint, really focus on strong cash flow profiles or track records of organic growth, and then revenue that is recurring or highly predictable are areas of focus for us too. I'd say, from a metric standpoint, generally 5 million or so of EBITDA on the lower end, up to 50 million on the high end. We could be quite flexible in terms of capital deployment, just given our limited partner and co-investor capital base. So we can scale up, we can into doing quite sizable transactions then as well.
And if a company fits this criteria, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, the best way to reach out to us is connecting through conversations like this, emailing out to me. Uh, LinkedIn is also a great resource as well. And we've got a number of touch points on our website, which is lmpartners.com. And so there's certainly a number of avenues to get in touch with us. I'd say we generally deploy capital mostly in the United States and in Europe. And in Europe, it's mostly been in the UK or some of the other countries, like in Ireland, for example.
Since you have worked across all these portfolio companies and you've seen the trends, what sets apart a company which has high growth potential and execution versus company that doesn't perform that well? Like what are some areas?
Yeah, it's a great question. Alignment from the beginning around the journey. So we're very much focused on establishing a strategy session, 100-day plan, if you will, just around where do we want to go? Where do we want this business to be in 5, 6, or 7 years from now? And we like to have those conversations early in the hold period. It's really around, I would say there's kind of four core pillars that I like to think about. It's strategic alignment, it's cultural alignment, economic alignment, and then a future liquidity alignment then as well. And having alignment around that has really created successful partnerships when you have those alignment of interests just together. We're certainly not a firm where the founder and the management team is going to wake up one morning and their business has been sold by LMP. That is certainly not just how we operate. So we're very much focused on developing strategies, a lot of communication together about a potential realization event then as well. And it's all about timing and growth. And we certainly are big believers in both organic and inorganic growth, and we're really here to accelerate that. And when you're able to have all of those key components of alignment, you can have a great outcome and a successful outcome then as well.
What is most difficult part of running a PE firm, which most people don't talk about, but it's very crucial?
That's a tough question, and I'm certainly not in the running of the firm from an overall investment standpoint. It's I would say managing time and knowing when to really dig into something and hold your ground and think about what this could be successful. Is this an opportunity where we really want to invest in? Is it worth spending time on this particular area? Um, at the end of the day, we're fiduciaries. We're responsible for investing capital on behalf of our limited partners, which for us, many of our limited partners and LPs are pension funds and endowments and things like that. People that work for various estates as teachers, firemen, policemen, and we need to make the right decisions. And so, it's really about experience and having a track record to be able to looking back on what went well, what hasn't gone well, learning from various circumstances and then being able to push that forward into future opportunities. And so for us, it's about, time management, understanding and really doing the right amount of diligence on an opportunity so that we can make and propose an accurate decision. And we've got a great investment committee today that we take ideas to and investment opportunities to and present those. But for me, it's really, have we uncovered everything that we know about the company, about the industry, about the growth, about the potential buyer for the business down the road in 5 or 6 years or so. So it's a lot of just overall diligence. When you've been at it for a certain amount of time, you can see certain patterns. You can see pattern recognition. And you start to develop that skill set, but it's certainly time. You're not just be able to come in day one and be an expert at it. It's about the reps, years of reps and looking at various companies, segments, industries, revenue models, for example, and really trying to build that overall decision making capabilities then at the end of the day.
Curious to know your thoughts on AI and how it's gonna affect your world.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and it's one that all of our limited partners are asking us. All of our executives and boards are discussing on a regular basis. It's a really critical moment in the AI industry right now. We had a limited partner lunch just a couple of weeks ago, and generally we don't receive that many questions. Relatively up to speed on the portfolio, where we're spending our time, and I think we got 6 total questions. 5 of them were around AI. And so it is certainly top of mind for investors that are investing in private equity funds. It's something that, as I mentioned, is being discussed, at every single company of ours. So we've actually just started to develop an overall master AI tracker internally of what our portfolio companies are doing in terms of AI. And then internally at our firm, we've got several AI use cases today. So we're using AI on a regular basis to help create efficiencies with our CRM, with how we go about and review materials that come in from portfolio companies, how we're thinking about just modeling and presentations. We're using AI. We've got a number of resources today that our firm is using. And then at our upcoming executive summit, it's a huge area of focus on the agenda. We've got a good amount of time allotted to it. We know that our CEOs and execs want to hear from their peers, their peer portfolio companies, how they're tackling it. We want to hear how the C-suite is thinking about it, how they've taken ideas and where they are in terms of development of those ideas, how they've taken those AI initiatives to the board and gotten board recommendations to go out and spend money to invest in those opportunities. So it's a big area, both for efficiency within the portfolio, but then also for revenue. How can we generate more revenue? How can we sell AI related initiatives to B2B customers of those portfolio companies? So it's a huge area right now. We do not have a lot of exposure to software related back businesses, but it's certainly top of mind for every company within the portfolio. And then also, just lastly, for companies that we're looking to invest in, every business that we've reviewed in the last year, there is an AI strategy within kind of the marketing materials. So in that confidential memorandum that you get from an investment banker about a business, if there isn't an AI strategy section in there, that's a red flag. It just really is. There has to be some type of strategy around AI today. That's just the biggest question that investors have right now. What is the AI disruption, or what is the AI opportunity for a business? So a long answer there, but it's top of mind. It really is. It's just something you can't ignore at this point.
What are some tips you could share with us on sourcing deals?
Yeah, sourcing it's a challenge. You've got to be able to differentiate yourself. There's a lot of private equity firms that are out there in the middle market. You need to really invest the time as well. It's that first conversation you have with the founder of a business, he's not just going to say, okay, L&P, you're the right firm for me. I'm going to sell my company to you, or I want you to invest in my business. It's just doesn't happen in reality. So we've done many proprietary deals where there has not been an investment banker involved with the transaction. And some of those have taken years to get across the finish line. It's really about spending the time with the team, learning and understanding, not pushing the pressure on a founder or management team, but really showcasing why LMP is the right firm. And some of that is the track record. Some of that is the capital solutions that we can provide. A lot of that is around the value creation strategy of how we can build something together and how we can realize that in 5 to 7 years from now. So it's a number of different things. I would say can't be afraid to get out on an airplane and go sit down with an executive for lunch or coffee or a dinner or something like that, or a fireside chat, whether that's 60 minutes, 90 minutes, or 2 hours. So it's about looking at actionable targets, things that are investable, and then really kind of getting out there and being in the market and understanding what the industry is doing, what the company is potentially doing, and what they're experiencing. So that's some of the areas. We certainly do look at opportunities from investment bankers as well. So we're very much up to speed with all the middle market and large cap bulge bracket banks. We certainly have a lot of good deal flow from them as well. I think one of the biggest things that surprised me when I came out of Perella Weinberg was just the sheer amount of boutique investment banks that are out there that have really great assets that they're looking to sell. And so, really kind of being in the market as well. And, you know, we think about sourcing through investment campaigns. So we come up with a thesis, an idea. We then take that to our investment committee. So we get the full support of our IC, then to go out and get into the market. And it's about getting on those calls with the bankers, the industry, going out to conferences then as well. So there's a lot of different ways, but we're focused on it. It's a huge area, as I mentioned. It's about 30% of my time is sourcing new opportunities. And that's really on the investment team. For us, we're a little bit different because we don't have a business development individual or a sourcing individual. It's really on the principals, the vice presidents, and the partners of our firm that are out in the market and sourcing new opportunities.
This is like a jam-packed interview with a lot of insights. What are few conferences you highly recommend one should attend?
Yeah, so I'd say we're on the industry specific side for conferences. So some conferences that I generally attend, when I think about areas that I'm spending time in currently, really around cybersecurity. So there was a big conference just a week ago or so out in San Francisco called RSA. So a lot of the cybersecurity firms across the globe will attend that. There's another one in the summer in Las Vegas called Black Hat, where it's another big cybersecurity related conference. So it's a good opportunity for sponsors like ourselves to be at those types of conferences who are interested in making investments in cybersecurity, because all the bankers, the CEOs will be out at those conferences. So it's a great networking opportunity. Some of the middle market investment banks have conferences where they bring in CEOs to those conferences, and we're able to have one-on-ones with them as well. But it's really industry specific. We've got people across our firm that attend various healthcare services conferences, human capital resources conferences. There's a big JP Morgan healthcare conference that's out in San Francisco in January of every year. We're spending more and more time in that particular sector within healthcare. And so we've had people that are out at that conference the last couple of years then as well. There's a handful of wealth tech conferences that are well attended that will have individuals at then as well. But yeah, it really comes down to industry specific, where we're spending our time, where there's actual opportunities then as well. So it's certainly an area where you got to do some of your homework to make sure that it's worthwhile to fly out somewhere. And hopefully you can connect with a number of CEOs, bankers, industry execs that are also in attendance then as well.
It's a big list. I can imagine how busy it would get in the conference season.
Yeah, conferences are certainly busy. Yeah, I think, for us at my level as a principal, I'm probably attending maybe 2 to 3 industry conferences a year, and then, 2 to 3 investment banker conferences where they're offering up one-on-ones with potential portfolio, potential investment opportunities. The good thing, COVID provided and shifted a lot of this where some of these industry conferences as well as the banker conferences are virtual. So you can have 5 to 6 to 8 meetings in a single day, 30-minute, 45-minute conversations with CEOs and really build out you know, that sourcing capability then as well. And it's something that we certainly do track. We track, number of times, number of first meetings we have on an annual basis with executives. It's a really key, stat for us as we think about sourcing overall.
I want to wrap up the interview with a rapid fire. You have less
Okay.
than 5 seconds and you have to keep it super brief. What's your favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant is the Red Onion in Palos Verdes, California.
A city or country which is in your travel bucket list?
Bali. I've been there once and I'd love to go back and spend more time.
3 words your best friend would describe you as.
Funny, loving, energy.
Any book which made a big impact in your life?
There's a book called The Power of One. It's a great, great book. It's been a couple years since I've read it, but really recommend it.
Your favorite movie?
Top Gun.
Your role model?
My father.
A piece of advice to your 18-year-old self?
Just do it. Don't procrastinate. Just do it.
Alex, anything which we didn't cover in this interview and you'd like to share that message on a closing note?
Look, I'd say, it's been great to be on the podcast. Really appreciate you getting me on here. Hopefully this was helpful to anyone that's looking for a career path in private equity, looking for an investment opportunity. I'm available. I'm on LinkedIn. You certainly can reach out to me. Please do. I'm pretty responsive on that as well. And so, I like to provide career advice to anyone because a lot of individuals, as I mentioned, networking is really key. But a lot of individuals during my journey provided me with advice then as well. It took the time to have coffee chats and calls and things like that. So I like to pay it back then as well.
That's amazing. I really appreciate your time and thanks for sharing your story and work.
Thank you so much for having me.